Hey everyone, welcome to Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. My name is Parth Varu. I'm Events and Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor India, and yes, I welcome you all to our today's episode on Azure Cloud Security. But before we start our today's event, let's go through our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, participate together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding their differences. Be kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate. Please drop all your questions in a chat section and we'll pick it up from there. I would not delay much. I would like to bring in Natarajan, who is a seasoned Azure Cloud infrastructure and security architect. He has around 16 years of experience in the IT industry, and where he currently works at Visionet Systems, where he specializes in Azure DevOps, and with the securities and its best practices. So, I'd like to bring in Natarajan. Hey, hi Natarajan, how are you? Am I audible?
Yeah, thank you so much, Parth. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, yes, Parth. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Thank you, Natarajan, for joining us
So, can I
today.
start the presentation, Parth? Right?
Yeah, you can share your screen. I'll pop it up.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Parth.
Great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So, just to need a quick confirmation from anyone. I just whether my presentation is visible as well as my I'm audible to everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone and most of the
Yes.
messages. Yeah, sure. So, a warm welcome to
Uh,
Microsoft Azure Cloud Security.
the
Right.
floor is all
So,
yours.
yeah, sure. Thank you so much. A warm welcome to all for Azure Cloud Security training session. So, myself, Natarajan Venkatesan. About me, myself, Natarajan Venkatesan, have almost 16 plus years of experience in IT industry. I'm working as a cloud architect on infra security in Visionet Systems. So, I'm helping customers to build the resilience architecture, migration workloads from on-premise to Azure, AWS to Azure, building the DevOps pipeline, automation, FinOps, right? I've just involved a lot of projects in Azure, right? So today agenda is, right, let me, right, right. Yeah, fine. So today agenda is right. So we will start with the zero trust security architecture, and we are just going to see what are the principles over there, and followed by what are the security types, and followed by we're going to see the defender for the cloud. So in the defender for the cloud, we're going to see what are the types of license and workflow automation. So each organization they follow the security framework, right? So what security framework they're going to use, how to implement the security framework, and how to verify the score, and data security posture management, right? So some certain like demo session, interesting demo sessions we're going to see on the defender for the cloud, like automation, workflow automation. So, and apart from that, I'm just going to touch base on the defender for the endpoint, and followed by the Sentinel, Microsoft Sentinel, and followed by the integration. So I have just I've just prepared the presentations based on the customer requirements. So right. So in the integration, right, in this integration sections, we are going to talk about how to integrate the defender for endpoint with Sentinel, and as well as the defender for endpoint with defender for the cloud. Right. So we will see the use cases and everything. Right. So okay, let's go. Thank you so much. Okay, fine. Security, trust, security, and security types. So basically, this is the Microsoft Zero Trust Security Architecture. So if you're basically from the security background, right, in Microsoft, so you might have familiar this word something called Zero Trust Security or Zero Trust Architecture. Under the zero trust security, right? So you have the different security types. One is the identity security, endpoint security, data security, application security, infrastructure security, and the network security. We will just see one by one and what are the services going to use there. right? And so zero trust security is nothing but it's a security model which operates under the three principles. So one is the never trust, always verify, right? So the second one is least privilege access, and third one is assume breach. So these are the basic principles of the zero trust security. And we have the security types, right? So one is the network security. The first one is the network security. Under the network security, we have security groups, Azure Firewall, DDoS protection. So basically, what it does in the security groups, right? Maybe we can control inbound outbound traffic for the Azure VM. So you can map it to either VMs or subnet level. And Azure Firewalls, right? It's a cloud-based network security service to protect Azure network resources. So basically, you can block. I mean, only Microsoft websites on your Azure VM. You don't want to access any other, I mean, Facebook or any other social network in the Azure VMs, right? So if you want to access only the, so you can implement all those things in Azure Firewall. And Azure DDoS protection, right? It protects the Azure application from the distributed denial of service attacks. So basically, it is helps from the DDoS attacks. And second one is the IAM security, is nothing but identity and access management security. So the first one is the multi-factor authentication. So this is very important because see, even though if your password is compromised, right? So it protects from unauthorized, I mean unknown user. So maybe additionally, maybe you can use Microsoft Authenticator as a multi-factor authentication. And second one is the role-based access control, right? So you might have seen, right, a lot of people are onboarded in the Azure portal, right? So everyone does not have the same access. So L1 team have a limited access, where L2 have a high privilege access on that. So I mean, developer generally for the production environment, they have required read access on that. So these are the control to just protect, I mean, unwanted, delete the resources from the production, so all those things. So we use the role-based access control. And third one is the identity governance. You can do the access reviews and the enter monitoring. So anything you take, right? So monitoring plays a vital role in that. So you have to monitor the sign-in users, audit logs, suspicious user, anything, whether the users are coming from the, I mean, suspicious IP, blocked IP. So these things you can see that. Last one is the glass break account, right? A glass break account basically, right? So we discussed about the multi-factor authentication, right? In case what will happen in case if your multi-factor authentication functionality will not work, say for an example it's outage of about 1 hour or 30 minutes, right? In that case we can use the glass break account. It's an emergency account, you can call it as emergency account. So this is the recommendation from the Microsoft. And third one is the application security. So whenever you just create a deploy application in Azure App Services, in VMs or in anywhere, right? So most of probably it is a public facing application, right? So your Azure application gateway helps to centralize to protect your application from the common exploits and the vulnerabilities. Okay, you can do the path forwarding, all those things. You can use that application gateway. Azure Key Vault. So basically, in your application, right, you might have used the connection strings and then SSL certificate and then API keys and other confidential information, right? So all this information you can safeguard in the Azure Key Vault. And third one is the managed identity. So managed identity, we have user identity as well as system identity, right? So in order to communicate from one server to another service, right? Say for an example, you are using two PaaS services in your application. So one is your app service, another one is the SQL database service. In order to communicate your app service to the database, you need managed identity. So your app service has to authenticate to the managed identity. So use as much as you can managed identity. Try to avoid service principal, right? So whenever the managed identity support, use that instead of service principal. So data security, right? So modes of the data, you have the data at rest, data in transit, and data in use, right? So you keep the data at rest in the nothing but so your D drives, E drives, all those things. So in VMs you have the data, right? So those are the data at rest, and your data is getting stored in the storage accounts. So those are the data at rest. How you are, whether you are encrypted on the data, right? So whether you are encrypted in data and data in transit, right? So you have to use the TLS protocol, SSL certificate implemented. So ensure that your data is secured during the data in transit, and always access to the data, right? Just give the least privilege access, right? And if you are using the SQL database or SQL management system, right, always use transparent data encryption, so which encrypts the SQL information, right? So the first one is the threat protection security. Under the threat protection security, we have Azure Defender for the cloud. So basically, it's a security posture management. So we will discuss detail in upcoming slides. And second one is Azure Sentinel. It's a SIM and SOM system. We will also discuss on that. And Azure Monitor. So always collects, analysis, logs, and telemetry data. And container security. So it's managed security of the posture of your Kubernetes environment. And last one is the compliance and governance. So we have the very important thing is we have Azure policy, Azure blueprints, right? Say for an example, you're working for US project, right? So all the resources has to be deployed in US East region. So you should not deploy any other than US region. So in case you can go for the policies, right? So you can enforce the policy, and if you create any resources without tax information, you should allow them on that, right? So you can enforce the tax policies, right? Region policies, SQC policy over the Azure policies. Azure blueprints. So if you have the repeatable set of Azure resources, right? So you can go for the blueprint. Say for an example, in each subscription, you are working on project. In each project, you have two subscription. One is for production subscription and one is for the non-production subscription. So whenever you create a non-production subscription or production subscription, automatically developer team gets read access to the production subscription and contributor access to the non-production subscription. So in this case, you can automate this task. You can use the blueprints for the automation of that, right? So apart from that, there is a one endpoint security also. In that endpoint security, you can monitor or you can register your mobile devices and VMs, all those things, right? So the next one, these are the references for zero trust principle to VMs and zero trust principles to the storage account and hub and spoke virtual network. I will share this link right now. Right. Okay, fine. Okay. So let us discuss the first defender for the cloud. Right. So we will see about securing the enterprise resources using the defender for the cloud. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. So we're going to see about the securing how you're securing the enterprise resources using the defender for the cloud. Basically, the Defender for the Cloud is a solution which not only secure resources in your cloud, but also gives the security posture management. It is nothing but the CSPM, Cloud Security Posture Management. Also, plays a vital role. It plays a dual role here. It plays a dual role. So one is the CSPM, security Cloud Security Posture Management. Other one is the Cloud workload production management, right? So under the security posture management, right, is that we are going to see the secure configuration of the resources, management of the compliance requirements. So we will see upcoming slides in the detail. So you can it will protect your resources from the full stack production and vulnerability assessment and management as well. So also, you can onboard the resources not only from the Azure resources. You can onboard your AWS resources as well, GCP resources as well as the on-premise. So you can onboard on-premise resources to the Azure Arc, right? Okay, it's fine. So as I said, right? So it's not there is no deployment in order to. If you want to opt for the Defender for the cloud, right? There is no such deployment process. Simply you can toggle that. Simply you can enable the button in the Defender for the cloud and built in the resources provisioning process, right? So for an example, just your scope, you are going to set the scope on the subscription level. So whenever you create any storage account or VM, right, automatically it will protect it from the Defender for the cloud. So remediate with the click easily. So certain recommendations you can see, right? So some of the recommendations, something like Azure Patches VM, right? So the moment you click it, automatically it remediates those recommendations. And second one is the multi-cloud and hybrid support. As I said, right? So the Defender for the cloud supports AWS, Azure, GCP, and on-premises. So the beauty here is the agentless onboarding for AWS and GCP posture management. So which means, right, so whenever you onboard the AWS or GCP resources, right, you don't want to, you don't want to install any agent. So that is the beauty of Defender for the cloud. It's agentless onboarding for AWS and GCP. Auto provisioning for the new resources, right? So as I said, right, on-premise resources with Arc. You can onboard your Azure resources, on-premise resources using the Azure Arc. And second one is the third one is secure score, right? So bird's eye view of the security posture of your cloud. This is the entry point of the Defender for the cloud. So basically the secure score will show the how secure your environment is. And it will show the prioritized security recommendations, and you can see the track and manage your security posture over the time. And fourth one is advanced threat protection, right? So you can get the workload specific signals and threat alerts. So say for an example, which means you have the storage account, right? So which is publicly exposed on that, so you will get an alert. So this is something exposed to the public internet, you have to take some action on that, right? So also it leverages the power of Microsoft threat intelligence with 24 hours trillion signals daily, right? So next slide we will discuss upon the slide, and then we will go for the tool demo. So Defender for the cloud. So basically, a Defender for the cloud comes with two set of plans. The one is the foundational CSPM. So as I said, right, CSPM Cloud Security Posture Management, and the Defender for the CSPM, Defender Cloud Security Posture Management. So this is by default enabled. This plan is by default enabled. So these are the features, and if you go with the foundational CSPM, right, these are the features will not be available in the foundational CSPM. However, if you go with the Defender for CSPM, right, so you can see all the features. You can avail all the features. Say, for an example, if you see, right, agentless scanning formations, right? So agentless scanning formations and data security posture management. So Cloud Security Explorer. Basically, this is the you can use the KQL queries on that. So these are the list of features which can be which are available in the Defender for the cloud. It depends upon the plan, right? So next one is for the Defender for the South. There is another plan for Defender for Servers plan. So we have plan one and plan two. So these are the list of features. So when we go for the plan one, right? So this feature will not be available. So for an example, security policy, regulatory compliance, file integrity monitoring, network map, agent lens scanning. So this feature will available only on plan two. Okay. So let me go to the tool. Right. Okay. So I will just go to this is the Azure portal.azure.com. I will go to the Defender for the cloud. So this is what we are discussing about. Just click on the Defender for the cloud, right? Just scroll down. Just go to the environment settings. So if you go to the environment settings, right? So this is my tenant, and expand this. This is my subscription name. So if you click on the subscription, you can three dots, click on the edit settings. You can see the Defender for the plans, right? If you see, right, as I said, there is a Defender for cloud comes with two plans. One is the foundational CSPM and the Defender CSPM, right? So now the plan is, now this Defender for CSPM is enabled on that. Right. If you scroll down, so we discussed about cloud workload protection also. So we discussed cloud security posture management and cloud workload protection. So if you scroll down a little bit, so you can see the list of resources, VMs, Azure VMs, and app services, database storage, containers, key vault, everything. See, we enabled the so all this is part of the Defender for the cloud. Also, if you see right, the change plan, we have discussed one more thing called Defender for the servers. If you click on the change plan, right? So Defender for the servers comes on with plan one and plan two, right? So you see the plan one. So these are the features are available, right? These are the features are available, and these are the features are not available in the plan one. But however, right? So in the plan two, it's all the features are available, right? So I mean to say, so one, the moment you just onboard the Defender for the cloud, right? It is, I mean, it depends upon the organization. Check with the organizations and enable the Defender for the cloud, Defender for the SPM. So you can see that what is the billing for that. So everything you can get the detailed information, but it's not for the free. You have to pay for that. You have to pay for the each resources. Say for an example here, right? For the plan to write $15 per server per month. So they will charge $15. Say for an example, you have 100 servers, right? 100 server into $15. That is the cost for your service. So you can onboard, I mean, you can onboard most of the services, Azure services, servers, app services, databases, storage account, containers, key vault, resource manager, and APIs also. Right. Okay. So we will just go back to the slide again. So the next one is a secure score. So secure score is the entry point of your Defender for the cloud, right? Basically, it gives how secure your environment is. So as I said, right, you can onboard your Azure resources, AWS resources, and GCP resources. If you see, right, your the score of Azure resources stands on 55 percentage. Your AWS resources stands on 31 percentage. Your GCP resources stands on 24 percentage. Right. So if I just go here, if you see that security posture under the cloud security, if you click on that, right, you will see the score of your how secure your environment is, right? But I don't have much resources in that because since it's a demo environment, so I don't have much resources. So I have onboarded only the Azure. So you can see, right, Azure, AWS, because I've not onboarded the AWS GCP, so it's already disabled. So AWS GCP, Azure DevOps, you can onboard Azure DevOps as well, and GitHub, GitLab, Docker, JFrog, right? So my current score is 14 percentage, right? This is how to look the score. The second one is um, recommendations. Right. The security recommendations should be, remediated frequently. So, I mean, as I said, right, so it's a cloud security posture management. It will not monitor, it will not secure the resources, or as well as it will use the recommendations as well. If you see the screenshot, right, these are the list of the recommendations. These are the list of the recommendation, what is the status and what is the initiatives and 100 resources and the insights. So if you look at, there is a column called insights and you see the lightning symbol, which means there is a also quick fix option available for that. Let us go back to the portal, right? So I will just go the recommendations tab. Okay. So if you see, right, in the recommendations tab, so this is the recommendations tab. In this recommendations tab, you can see the list of recommendations. So the storage account should be prevent shared access key, something inactive identities in a subscription. So management port should be closed on your virtual machine. This is my demo VMs which was created, right? So if you scroll right, it will tell what is the recommendation, what is the affected resources, what is the risk level. Maybe you can start with the medium. I mean, you can start with the high, followed by medium, and then low. And the risk factor, it is the vulnerable or lateral movement. And if you scroll right hand side, there is a column called insights, which means so wherever you see the lightning symbol, so there is a auto fix is available on that. I will just show for this one, right? Which means there is no, I mean, manual intervention required here. So the moment you click on fix, right, so the management port should be closed on your virtual machine. It be addressed automatically, right? So other than this, right, but however some other options, right, I will just click another thing, right, normal one, right? Permissions of inactive identities in your subscription should be revoked. So this have to do not, I mean, manual. However, you see the steps are given on that. You have to follow the steps. Right. So the moment you follow all the recommendations, you address all the security alerts, right? You automatically your score will improve. Right. Okay. Next, let us go next slide. And second one is the data sensitivity. So data security posture management, there's something called a data security posture management. What does it mean? Data security automatically, continuously, looking at the sensitive information. Say for an example, you have some sensitive information such as your credit card number, okay, client secret or API keys in storage account. Either in storage account as part of the files or Excel sheet or in your databases, anywhere in something, right? So why we have to assess those sensitive information in your cloud, because it may leak this information. If say for an example you are deploying, you are added some sensitive information in storage account, but the storage account is exposed to the internet, right? So anyone can access the sensitive information, which maybe breach or compliance standards. You are end up in the compliance standards. In order to avoid that, so you have to do the data security posture management, right? So Defender for the cloud uses the built-in sensitive information. So some of the built-in sensitive information we can see. So international, say for an example, international bank account number, credit card number, social security number, client secret or API key. Okay, so pre these are the built-in sensitive information which was provided by the Defender for the cloud. So finance, P2 credentials, right? So let's see. Okay, so data security posture management. So I'll scroll down. I will go to the environment settings here. Okay, you see something called data sensitivity in the environment setting, which comes under the management tab. Click on the data sensitivity. Right. If you scroll down, you see that's the finance. I will just click on the finance. So, say for an example, credit card number, debit card number, SWIFT code, all those things. And if I click on the credentials or P2, I'll click on the credentials, right? So these are the sensitive information. Consider as these are the Azure AI service, Azure AI service, right? And if you click on the other, right? So these are the, say for an example, API key, something I'll search on that API key, client secret. Okay, I will click here. You see the client secret and API keys, right? So these are the sensitive information. So it can be anywhere. It could be in storage account or it could be in the databases, either in SQL databases or SQL management. It could be anywhere in that. So how we have to keep the sensitive information, how secure it is. That is what we are going to discuss on that, right? So how to enable this option, right? So it is once you go to the data security, right, you just go to the enable this option. However, it is provided the default, some set of pre-default information. If you want some custom, and if you look at the right, if you want some customized column or something, right, then you have to go for the Microsoft purview on that. So Defender for the cloud supports the pre-built information. Right. So say for an example, I just go here, say for an example, finance and credentials, right? So API keys, all those things I would like to protect on that, right? Just enable, apply and save, cancel it. So once you've done that, just then come back to the Defender for the cloud. You see something called data security under the cloud security. You see something called data security under the cloud security. Click on the data security. Right. So once you onboard it, right, it will take almost 4 5 days on that. So your storage account, if you have any sensitive information such as the credit card information, right, that will appear in your sensitive data discovery part. I have one storage account. Under the storage account, I have the data storage and then containers. Right. If you see this, right, there is a container name called my data. And if you see there's something credit card expenses.doc. So this is the sensitive information. If you download this file, right, I have some credit card information, all the stuff, right, that I've uploaded some time back. So maybe it will take, when you're doing it for the first time, right, almost it takes 5 to 7 working days. 5 to 7 days, not working days, 5 to 7 days. Right. So if you already onboarded, if you already enabled the Defender for the cloud, it takes almost one or two working days. right? So once it is captured, right, those informations comes in there. Okay, so those informations comes here, right? So these are the sensitive types. These are the data classifications captured in the data. So you have to address it immediately in order to avoid the data breach, right? Okay, so the next slide is about the regulatory compliance standards. So every organization, right? So they have own, I mean, they follow some of the security frameworks such as ISO, NIST, GDPR, or IPA, or something, right? So how will you implement this security standard? This is one of the beautiful feature in Defender for the Cloud. I just like it very much on that. Right. So because many of the customer, right? So, hey, this I would like to, we are using the GDPR security framework. I would like to implement a security framework here. Right. So also the Defender for the cloud, right? So also the Defender for the cloud helps monitor the compliance. So there are any security assessment which can be mapped the compliance control and requirement. So that gives of the aggregated compliance standards as integrated with security network on that. Okay, so we will just quickly go back to the Defender for the cloud, right? So hope it clear. I mean, so say for an example, if your organization is going to follow the GDPR, how we are going to implement the GDPR framework in your Azure environment? Let's just quickly go through that, right? I'll just go to the environment settings again. If you click on the environment settings, scroll down. This is my tenant group. I can have multiple subscriptions. In my case, I have one demo subscription. Edit settings. Okay, you can say, there is a something called security policies, right? Click on the security policies, right? So if you see that, right, these are the list of predefined framework which is already provided by the Microsoft and Defender for the cloud. So you see the NST, CIS, and I'll search the GDPR, right? GDPR is there, but not showing. I'll go HIPAA, right? You can see the HIPAA, NIST framework is there. I mean, say for an example, I just would like to implement GDPR. So unfortunately, GDPR is not there. You can create your custom security framework as well, right? So, I mean, say for an example, NIST 800 something, I will just enable this one. So the moment you enable, okay. So the moment you enable, right, assigning standard. So this security framework automatically will appear in the security policies. Let me take with that. You see something called regulatory compliance, right? So click on the regulatory compliances. Just scroll down. Okay, so you see the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. This is the default one. So maybe after 5-10 minutes, right, your ISO security framework will appear here. Let me refresh. It will take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Right. So as I said, right, these are the compliance controls. So if you see that these are the compliance controls, if you see that, I mean, error mark, right? So which means you have to address something, establish network security boundaries. If they are not addressing all those things. Similarly, these are the all the compliance controls here. This is for your Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. And we have enabled ISO. Maybe after 5-10 minutes, it will appear one more tab here. Right. So, and if you go to the, if you scroll down, right, if you scroll down, these are the compliance controls. You have to address all things in network security, identity management security, privilege access, and your asset management, everything is fine. So that's why you just seeing the green color. So, right. So these are the, you have to take the corrective action for each compliance control. just explain the data protection. See, right? So enable data at rest encryption. So we are discuss about the data security, data in rest, data transit, all those things, right? So enable data at rest encryption by default. So we are not doing all that. So say for an example, if you are using the storage account to keep the data at rest, maybe you have to use the customer managed key to protect the data. So all those things we have to, once you address all those things, right, it will come in the complaints. So right now it is showing as a non-complaint. So these are the two results showing as a non-complaint. This was is complaint status. So this is about the security framework. Security framework. As I said, right, say for an example, again, I'm just going back to the environment settings. Expand here, edit settings. Okay, so in case, say for an example, I am just trying to create a HIPAA framework, which is not available in the security framework, right? In case you can create a new framework as well, security framework. Just go to the custom standard and enter the name. So you can enter the HIPAA framework, right? You can click next, 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 right? So you have to choose all the recommendations. You can click next and review, create, and finally you have to define the scope. So this framework is for the security specific subscriptions or specific resource group. That's it, right? But this is one of the very good feature in Defender for the cloud. How, we discuss about how we are implementing the security framework, right? So the next one is workflow automation. Workflow automation. See, workflow automation generally automation plays a vital role in Azure, and not in Azure anywhere, right? So previously we are provisioning the Azure resources manually. However, we are using IAC infrastructure as a code, using Terraform or um, ARM templates or anything, right? Similarly, automations also we have automation. Similarly, in security also we have automation. So basically, why we have to do automation? Just to reduce the human intervention for the faster response, right? So we will see some use cases of the why we need automation on that. What is the examples and use cases on that, right? Say for an example, the first example is right. So whenever the new recommendation created in the Defender for the cloud, automatically we need to create one ticket in the service no ticketing tool. So you have to do using the logic apps. Using the logic app, this is my Defender for the cloud. Using the logic apps, we can integrate. So whenever there is a recommendations created in the Defender for the cloud, using the logic apps, I will create one ticket in the service now ticketing tool. So this is one of the automation part, right? So second one is right. Say for an example, due to unavoidable circumstances, right? So some of the VMs or some of the applications are exposed to the internet, right? You may see brute force attack. So generally, if you encounter any brute force attack, right? So normally the security engineer or the cloud engineer, right? They have to manually disable the ports in order to stop the brute force attack. So you can do the automation, right? In the automation, you can do that, right? So in the Defender for the cloud, using the logic apps, right? You can create some. Basically, logic app is a very beautiful tool. It's a no code based solution. So using the logic apps, you can disable the ports on the VMs on that, so that you can avoid the brute force attack. This is a no code based solution. Logic app is a no code based solution. So it does not, it doesn't mean that you need a coding all those things. It's a drag and drop. It's a very good one, logic apps. So third one is right. Say for an example, I want to restrict the upload of malicious file in the storage account. Right. Say for an example, I have some malicious file. I'm just trying to upload in the storage account, right? How the Defender will protect on that. So we will see some of the use case here. We'll see discuss how to write a code on this one, right? We'll see practically, right? So basically, I'm trying to restrict the upload of malicious files in the storage account. Okay, let's go back to the Defender for the cloud. Okay, so first, I will just go to the logic apps. It's already created just to save some time. If you see, right, there is my logic app name is called remove malware block, right? So whenever you upload any malicious file in storage account, it automatically gets deleted on that. Let us see how to this thing. If you go to the logic app, right? So if you go to the settings, not settings, if you go to the logic app designer, so this is my flow. So basically, so whenever the Microsoft Defender alert is created, right, triggered, so it will get the details, get blob entity, and then it will delete the specific blob, right? So this is the code which I created in the Logic app, right? So because it's a no code based solution, it does not require any coding. So then I will go to Defender for the cloud, scroll down. My Logic app is ready. My Logic app is ready. Now I'm just going to automate the Logic app. Right. I will just go here, workflow automation, something called workflow automation. Click on the workflow automation. Right. Add workflow automation. Uh, delete malicious file. Right. Delete malicious file and just you can give the description and you select the subscription. You have to select the resource group. This is my resource group name. And Defender for the cloud type is always security alert. Right. So alert name contains. See, alert name contains is a very important thing. So right now I don't have an alerts. So if you come here, so you can see the security alerts, right? Right now I don't have an alerts. Right now I don't have an alerts. Right. So you have to give the exact alert name here. You have to give some exact alert name here. Um, malicious object something. Right. So scroll down a bit. Right. So demo subscription, and then you have to select the Logic app. In my case, right, already I have the storage account. I already uploaded the malicious object in that storage account. If I go here, containers. So 50592.py, this is my malicious file, right? I would like to show where I've downloaded that, but don't do in your lab. I mean, in your personal computer or right. So if you go to your exploit database website, right, you can search log4j. So if you search for the log4j, you see something called Apache log4j. So you can download this one, but don't do this on your personal computer or official computer. I'm just accessing from the Linux, I mean, Kali Linux environment. Right. So this is my malicious object I've uploaded in that. Right. So because I've uploaded today, that's why the alert is not coming over here. I mean, it will take some 3 to 4 days in that. Right. So once the alert is coming here, right, your workflow automation automatically triggered and then it will delete your malicious object. Just click on the create. So you select the demo subscription and then you have to select the logic name app. So this is my remove hyphen malware block. This is my name of the logic app. So once I create it, right, I've already created in that. So whenever the alert name comes, automatically it will trigger the workflow automation and then it will delete your malicious object in the storage account. This is the one of the automation. So also you can integrate with many things. So these are the use cases of workflow automation. Automation is very good thing on that. So you can because whenever I'm working with the customers, right? So they need automation. They won't want human intervention required on that, right? So okay, we are running out of time. Okay, I will walk through on the slides. A defender for the endpoint. So a defender for the endpoint basically. Okay, so these are the defender for endpoints. So basically, defender for the endpoints helps in the threat protection at the operating system level, right? So these are the defender for the endpoint has various models and capabilities, right? So threat and vulnerability management, attack service, we can call it as ASR, attack service reduction, and next generation protection, endpoint protection and response, auto investigation, remediation, Microsoft threat experts on that. Okay, so I will just discuss on the high level on that. So what is a vulnerability management? So basically, Microsoft, vulnerability management is in Microsoft Defender for the endpoint is the key feature, is one of the key feature to identify, access, and remediate vulnerabilities in your environment. Also, it will identify the endpoint misconfiguration. Say, for an example, you have any endpoint misconfiguration, right? It will identify as well. And basically assess your security posture and reduce the risk on that. And attack surface reduction, that is the first line of defense. It avoids, basically it avoids the exploitation of specific endpoints. Also it includes exploit protection, network protection, web protection, application control, control for access, and device control, right? So the next generation protection, basically it is the Microsoft Defender antivirus blocks malware using your cloud or local based machine learning models on that, right? So you see, this is the virus and threat protection. So another beautiful and important feature in Microsoft Endpoint is called EDR, Endpoint Detection and Response. So basically what it does, right? So the Defender for Endpoint detects, inspects, responds. Also, it aggregates all alerts into an incident, right? So also it gives the advanced hunting and threat analysis where you can use Usta query language, KQL, and also the Defender for the endpoint, EDR gives visibility into threats targeting your endpoints such as laptops, as I said, laptops, desktops, and servers, and also helps in security teams address them effectively. If you see, right, there is an alert called malicious file upload to the storage account. This is the alert I was discussing about in the previous lab session. Right. So if you see, right, I have just uploaded some malicious file in the storage account, right? So the moment you upload the malicious file, it automatically get created alert in the Defender for the cloud. But this is for the Defender for the endpoint because I have enabled the integration between Defender for the endpoint and Defender for the cloud, right? So you can see the list of alerts and what is the source. Okay, some of the alerts comes from the Defender for the endpoint, some of the alerts come from the Sentinel, some of the alerts from comes from your Defender for the cloud also. If you scroll right, you can see the product name and services where the alert comes from, right? Right. So also the next one is the auto investigation and remediation. Basically, it's a AIR. So it is the capabilities of automating the automatic investigation remediation. Okay, security automation is nothing but so mimic the ideal steps to a human would take, investigate, and remediate a cyber threat. So it doesn't mean that it's isolate the resources, right? So the next one is a sentinel, right? So basically, right. So the next one is the Sentinel, right? We were discussing about the threat and analytics, the Sentinel, Azure Defender for the cloud, all those things, right? So cloud, cloud native SIEM and SOR. So what does it mean? Sentinel is a basically cloud native security information and event management. SIEM stands for the security information and event management. And SOAR stands for the security orchestration, automation, and response solution. So basically, it provides this intelligent security analytics for your enterprise resources, right? So what does it mean in the sense it reacts the proactive as well as the reactive basis also. So that is the main major difference between your Defender for the cloud and then Sentinel. So it acts as the proactive as well, but where the Defender it does not. There are some limitation in both of the pros and cons in both of the tools, right? So the next one is the detect and investigate threats, right? So, my a Defender for the cloud uses built-in AI and machine learning model which detect the anomalies as well as the identification potential threats on that. So the next one is the respond to threats rapidly. So also, which means, right? So you can automate the responses as we discussed in the previous for the Defender for the cloud, right? So you can use extensively logic app. So logic app is basically it's a no code based solution, right? So you can use logic apps extensively in Defender for the cloud as well as Sentinel, right? So you can set up workflows. Say for an example, if any brute force attacks happens on that, you can set up workflows to isolate your users or block IPs or trigger any alerts on that. So you can, which means you can respond to threats very fastly on that. So data collection and integration. Okay, data collection integration, right? So basically, Sentinel can ingest the data from various Azure resources on on-premise environments and third-party tools also. And there is a built-in connectors as well. We have pre-built-in connector for Microsoft 365, Azure AD, Microsoft Defender for the Defender for the endpoint, activity logs, and what else we have? Okay, Palo Alto and Cisco also. Right, right. So coming to the last one, right? We have an integration. Why we need an integration? So basically, in the integration, what does it mean? We are integrating Microsoft Sentinel with Defender for the endpoint. So far we discussed three tools. One is for the Defender for the cloud, another for which helps for the security posture management. Another one is Defender for the endpoint, which we discussed about threat protection at the operating system level, and you can manage the devices, mobile phones, all those things. And Sentinel is the SOM, SIM, and SOM tool, SOR tool. Right. So why we need integration between Microsoft Sentinel with Microsoft Defender for the endpoint? Right. So basically, it is a centralized threat monitoring system. Right. So consular endpoint telemetry in Sentinel, which means, right, your integration allows you to stream all Defender for the endpoint incidents into Microsoft Sentinel and keep them synchronized between portals, both the portals, and which means Sentinel as well as the Microsoft endpoint. Right, right. So also enhanced threat protection correlates your defender for area signals with Sentinel analytics, faster response, as I said, right? Faster response. Right, faster responses, automates responses to the incident detects on the endpoints. So you can extensively use logic apps for the automation, improved visibility, provide a single pane of glass to the security operations team. Right. Okay. So let me see how we can integrate between Defender for the endpoint and Sentinel. So hope you understand why we need to integrate. Say for an example, some of the alerts are captured in the Defender for the endpoint. Some of the alerts are captured in the Sentinel, right? So basically, it gives a one visibility. It gives a one visibility. You don't need to go for some alerts for the Defender for the cloud, sorry, Defender for the endpoint. Some of the alerts you not to go for Sentinel. So basically, it gives one visibility in one place, right? Right. So if I just go here, okay, I'll just go to the Sentinel page. So this is what I'm just discussing about that. So Sentinel basically, it is the SIEM tool and SOIR tool, right? Right. So this is the Sentinel. And if you go here, scroll down a bit, you can see there is a something called Content Hub under the content management. Click on that and search for and look for Defender for endpoint. Defender for the endpoint. You can see that you can select and install. So whatever the alerts triggers in the Defender for the endpoint service, right? It will appear in the Sentinel as well, and as well as the bidirectionally. My PPT is not responding. Okay. So once you're done, right, it's showing the status as installed, and you can click manage. Okay. And you can select the Microsoft Defender for the endpoint again here, the content name, and you can see the open connector page. Click on the opener connector page. Scroll down. In the meantime, I will just open it. Okay. Let me click on connect. So it's a connecting Microsoft Defender for the endpoint will cause your data that is collected Microsoft Defender for the endpoint service to be stored. Connect. So you have established, you've integrated successfully between the Microsoft Defender and the Sentinel endpoints. So you may ask one question, why did not talk about the integration between the Defender for the cloud and endpoint also? If you go for the Defender for the cloud, right, if you go for the Defender for the cloud, and you can see there is an option, environment settings, scroll down a bit, you can see something called edit settings. And again, you can see something called settings and monitoring here. If you click on the settings and monitoring, right, settings and monitoring, you see there is a something called endpoint protection. So enables protection powered by Microsoft Defender for the endpoint. So if you click on, this will enable the integration between your Microsoft Defender for the cloud and Microsoft Defender for the endpoint. So once you enable the integration, right, you can have one visibility. You can easy to address the issues, all the stuff, right? Okay. Okay. So we discussed about the integration between. So in this slide, right, we discussed about the integration between Sentinel with Microsoft Defender for the endpoint, and also we discussed integration between Defender for the cloud and Defender for the endpoint, right? So the next one, right? Uh, There are some URLs we're going to discuss about what are the URLs we have. There are some of the URLs are available for that. So if you see, right, the Microsoft Defender for the endpoint. So the URL is called security.microsoft.com. Unfortunately, this is my trial account and I don't have access to the Defender for the endpoint. Otherwise, I would have just shown the demo on that. Right. So this is the URL for security.microsoft.com. Right. So security.microsoft.com/secure. It will show how secure your environment also. So this is the URL. And another one is the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So basically, it will manage its identity related security, including your Azure Active Directory and conditional policies, sign in risk policies, user risk policies. Also, those are things you can do that in entra.microsoft.com. So another one is right. So another one is Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So this is you can manage your mobile devices, laptops, everything. So once you, your laptop or your mobile has to be onboarded in the Microsoft Intune. So ensure that it is compliance. So they have some policies, right? They will enable some policies based on the organization. They will tell you whether your mobile is in compliance status or not. So that is for the Microsoft Intune on that. So that is the URL for the Intune. And another thing is Microsoft Purview. Basically, it is for the unified data governance for managing and protecting data. Also, it helps us the data loss protection on that. So these are the URLs, security URLs, which we use generally in, right. So I just to conclude with this slide, and thank you so much for attending the session. And you can connect me with the LinkedIn profile. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Right. So, and this is my email ID. So don't get confused. This is my email ID only. If you have any questions specific to you have any clarifications, if you have any questions pertaining to the training or anything on security, DevOps, Azure DevOps or infrastructure, right? You please feel drop an email to me. Probably I will just get back to you on the over the weekends because I will get a lot of questions from the over the weekend. I will just sit with them and I'll connect with them on one-on-one personally, So also you can, this is my URL for the Medium website. I'll also publish the articles, lot of articles in the Medium website, right? So if you go here, so this is my okay, this is my profile in medium.com. So I have just created some Microsoft Defender for the endpoint. So some time back we discussed, right? So I've just created articles as well. So I can ping you this one. Yeah, this is my Medium website. So I can share my details as well. So this is my LinkedIn profile, my email ID, and as well as my Medium profile also. So feel free to drop in any questions, right? If I'm unable to answer all the questions over the chat, so please feel to drop an email. You can feel free to connect with me over the LinkedIn, over the Medium also. I'm happy to answer all the questions. So that's all. Thank you so much. All the best, guys.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you so much for the beautiful session. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And yes, final call to drop in the questions if you have any questions, or else you can reach out to Natarajan directly on his LinkedIn. The link is pasted in the chat as well. So, okay. So, I don't see any questions coming in. So, yes, thank you, Natarajan. Let's call for a wrap then.
Thank you so much, Path. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
nice day.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.